Good morning, everyone. Wonderful to see you this morning. If you will please open your Bible to Matthew 6. Matthew chapter 6. We are ending this series today. I had one more planned, but we're going to move on to something that will get us through to the end of the year. Matthew chapter 6, Jesus' model prayer. Jesus' model prayer in the Sermon on the Mount addresses the things that you and I need every day. Jesus knew the things that His disciples would need. He also knew that kingdom people would be the most blessed people in the world if they had a relationship with the Father in heaven and prayed to Him for what they needed, but also prayed to Him in acknowledging who God is, what He does, and what He provides. There are things that you and I need in our life. We need, if we are going to be God's people, we need to know that we have a Father, a holy Father in heaven. Knowing that our heavenly, holy Father in heaven is our Father, and therefore us, is something that will keep us living and going and give us the strength and the desire to be able to serve Him every day. We also need, as kingdom people, we need God's kingdom in our world. Oh, don't you know that this world needs to be ruled by God, to be ruled by His Son, to have that relationship with God as citizens of an eternal kingdom. And not only do we need that in our hearts, where Jesus said the kingdom is, where we need the heart of a kingdom person. We need God in our lives, and we need to pray for all of that. We need God's daily physical blessings. We need that daily bread. It's not the most important bread. We need every word that comes out of the mouth of God, but we still need that daily bread. Jesus acknowledges that, and we need to ask God for it. The daily physical blessings. We also, as God's kingdom people, need His forgiveness, and we need that too every day, don't we? We not only need God's everyday forgiveness because of our everyday sin, we also need His help to be forgiving people ourselves. Jesus was very clear. If you don't forgive like God does, you're not going to be forgiven by God. We have to make sure that we understand that very clearly. And so because of all of this, we are the most blessed people in the world. So in this model prayer that we've been looking at, that sometimes we just kind of read through to get to the Beatitudes, or we read through to get to the next section of the Sermon on the Mount. We need to start looking at what Jesus knew about us, and this prayer reflects it. He knows what we need. Jesus knew of all the things that were going to try us and challenge us in our lives. He knew from personal experience that we were going to be tempted. He knew that we were going to have to survive in an evil world. Let's stop there for a second. Do you acknowledge temptation? Do you acknowledge the reality of temptation in this world? You can say it. I'd love to hear it. Do you believe that? That temptations are there? They're in your life? Have you moved beyond temptation? I'm really not tempted anymore, Barry. That was when I was a teenage boy, I could write you a book. But right now, I've really got a handle on that. Well, if you have mastered that, God bless you. But for the rest of us, we haven't so mastered this temptation thing. My friends, we need to acknowledge that temptation is real and very worthy of our prayers It concerned Jesus enough that He prayed about it and wanted us to continue in our lives to pray about it. But not just to acknowledge and pray about the temptations that we face, but also to believe in and acknowledge that we live in an evil world and that we're not going to survive it unless we have that intimate relationship with the Holy Father who gives us our daily bread, who has His kingdom there for us so that we can be a part of it, so that we can be forgiven and be great forgivers. All of this is so we can overcome the temptations of a sinful, evil world. This is vitally important to us. Now the thing is, Jesus knew this truth not simply because He was the Creator in the flesh, not simply because He knows our hearts, He knows our thinking, He knows our minds, He knows the tempter in a personal way. The reason Jesus knows we need this is because He experienced it every day until He ascended back to the Father. He knows what temptation is all about. He knew and still knows the limitations of human flesh. How the flesh is so weak. Our spirit can be willing, but our flesh is so weak. The weakness that is just sewn into the parts of our human frail bodies. Jesus knew what we would face. He knows what we are facing. He knows that we are and will be tempted and tried and tempted and tormented by Satan every day because He experienced the same thing. These are the things that Jesus knew firsthand. So what does He do? He instructs us here to ask God to lead us in a different direction, to lead us away from it. Don't lead us to temptation, lead us through temptation. Take us away from it. Get us around it. Help us in this. He instructs us to pray for God's leadership and deliverance from temptation and the evil of this world. Let's read the whole prayer together now. This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. That is the prayer under consideration, the part of the prayer today. Now, let's talk again, or in a little bit more depth, about the personal temptation experiences of Jesus. You heard within your reading, in our reading, and in your ear, with your ears, you heard Mark and Mike read the beginning of it, at least the way the Gospels unfold, and the ending of it, of Jesus' last great big temptation in that great scene in the garden. The temptation experiences of Jesus did something, not to Him, well, it did to Him, but really it did something for Him that is for our blessing. Jesus is uniquely qualified to help us. Now think of all the people in this world that can help you when you are tempted. Who do you go to? Do you have people that you trust? People that you love, that you know, that would be there for you, to be that buddy, that spiritual man, that fellow soldier, that sister that is there, that has the life of prayer and compassion to help you, someone to go through your life with in that respect when you are tempted and tried by Satan and by evil. All of those blessings are in fact blessings. They are for our good, but there is no one that has gone through the temptation and can say, and I made it, and so can you. I overcame, and so can you. Now, we've overcome some things, but not to the extent of Christ. He is uniquely qualified to help you. He is there to help you. He's here to help us survive the evil world. The evil world. And since you have admitted that there is temptation, and this is an evil world, you and I need this help. And so as we heard Mike read from Luke chapter 4, that one word that is so easy to miss, that we often just read it as just in the course of reading the words on the page, but it says Jesus was led there. Led there. You know what that means? It was God's plan and God's will for Jesus to go through this. My friends, it is God's will for us to go through things. God doesn't tempt us, doesn't lead us just to see what happens. God is leading us in a life where temptation is everywhere, even for His Son. He was led into the desert to be tempted. Luke says that the temptations were over a period of 40 days. So it was a long period of life. Now you probably have temptations every day. I would expect you do. I most certainly do. Temptations every day. It's a normal occurrence, excuse me, to have temptations that pull me or drive me or hurt me or lure me in certain areas of my life. But this shows that sometimes it goes beyond just the daily temptations that you have. Sometimes they are protracted periods of time. They open up and it's longer. It may be a day, or it may be a week. It may be a month. It could be the 40 days and 40 nights where something is tempting you and hurting you over a long period of time. And in that time, you need to know what to do and who to turn to. That's why it's in this prayer that we ask God to lead us not into temptation, but please, Holy Father, lead us away. Lead us and deliver us from the evil one. And that has got to be our way of overcoming. And so they also continued, I'm speaking of Jesus now, the temptations continued all through Jesus' life. I love it that Luke included that little line that says Satan came back when the time was better, or when Jesus was weak again, or when his mind was distracted, or when he was frustrated with the apostles or the people that denied the truth of what they saw and what they heard in him. He came back again. There again is the reality. You may overcome. You may have victory that day or in that situation. You may go through something for 40 days and 40 nights. But as night follows day, temptations are going to come back. They're going to be there. All this means is this is a way of life in the evil world. This is the truth of our world. Jesus was tempted throughout his ministry. And when the opportunity was there, Satan was there as well. There's a picture of our life. Jesus' temptations reached their ultimate intensity when he was in the garden and he knew that the crowd led by his disciple, his friend, his disciple Judas. And he knew that they were coming up that hill, coming into that garden. And the temptations reached the intensity that night before his death that were so pronounced, Satan went after him so hard that Jesus was overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed by the temptation and by the stress of it all. He needed help to overcome. So what did he do? He prayed, and then later it says angels came to help. He asked for his friends to help. They weren't much help. But he even taught them during this time. But Jesus knows the intensity of temptation, and he knows what it's like to be in the evil world. And so here's the question. Why did Jesus make praying for leadership and deliverance from temptation and away from evil part of the disciples' prayer life? Why did he include that in this prayer? Number one, he knew that Satan was going to hammer his disciples like Satan hammered him. Jesus knew that this would happen to you and to me. And if Jesus had anything going for him beyond what we have going for us, then I would say that we can make an argument, yes, although he was human, and we'll read those verses too. But with the nature of the power of the Spirit within him, I don't know. All I know is Jesus knew we would go through those same things, and he feared for us. And so he said, pray that God will not lead you into temptation, but to deliver you from the evil one. Again, this is our prayer. So Satan was going to hammer us. Jesus knew that. The second thing is, he knew that we will face trials and temptations of the same nature as his. We have things in common. We have the same types of temptations that are brought along by flesh, being in human form like we are, like he was as well. But making our will more important than God's will, Satan knew what that, or Jesus knew what that meant. Jesus knew what it would be like to, let's take a shortcut. Let me throw myself off the temple, and when the angels come and swoop up and pick me up, and then everyone's going to praise God. That's got to be the Son of God right there. It was a temptation, or they would not have been called temptations. To eat bread and use his power in a wrong way, or to throw yourself off the temple, or to bow down and receive the world as Satan gives something that's not his to give. My friends, the point is Jesus understood all these things. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 18 teaches us something important. Hebrews 2:18. Because he himself suffered when he was tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. Because he himself suffered when he was tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. Tempted in the present tense, in the writing, present tense. His suffering was in the past, something he went through and made it through. And that has given him the ability to help those of us who are in need. So we know that Jesus went through something that we go through all the time. And not just anecdotally. Jesus went through temptation, but it's not like what we go through, right? It didn't hurt him like it hurt us. What does it say? There's a key word in 2:18. Hey, do you see it? That shows the hardness of it all. He what? Suffered. He suffered. Think about it. The Son of God suffered through his temptations. Now, let's put that with ourselves. Do you ever suffer in temptation? Hurts you, breaks your heart, makes you angry, makes you cry out, why do I fall? Why am I being tempted in this way? Jesus knows. Hebrews chapter 4. Hebrews 4, 14 through 16. Hebrews 4, 14 through 16. The Hebrew writer continues this train of thought. Since we have a great high priest who has gone through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses. Let's stop there for a second. Parents, have your children ever told you, you don't understand? You don't understand what it's like to be 15, Dad? Nah, I don't understand that, son. No, you're right. We somehow have it in our mind that we are unique to the situation, that nobody understands, that nobody gets it, that God's so far away, that Jesus is so holy and so powerful, that God doesn't understand why this particular situation, this particular sin, this particular addiction, this particular issue causes me to be in torment because I'm always falling, and it makes me so mad, it makes me feel lost, it makes me feel pathetic. But the Lord, again, understands what this means. He's gone up to the heavens, yes. Through the heavens, yes. He's the Son of God, yes. But He will help us hold firmly to our faith. He will help us hold on to our faith, even when the day of evil comes and the temptations hurt us and make us suffer. He sympathizes with us. He understands it, that empathy, that sympathy that we need. Barry, I understand. I know. So, of course, He is the one that gives the help and the understanding. Goes on to write, the Hebrew writer does. We have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet was without sin. Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. He is right there at the right time to give us just what we need. Grace and mercy. Grace is for what? Sin. Mercy is for what? Sin. But grace is a help. It is God's help and favor. So God is there. When we need Him, He is there in your time of need. So if we take the end of that, grace to help us in our time of need, and we add this to the thought in Matthew chapter 6 in the prayer, when is the right time to pray that prayer? When is the right time to pray that prayer? Let me tell you something that I have become convinced of. And I never have been able to put it into words until my Tuesday morning meeting with Charles, and we go over sermon, we go through the scriptures, we go through the songs, and we start putting all this stuff together, and we started a vein of discussion that just made the lights come on. And for me, I think I finally figured it out. The question is this: how much of our temptation struggles happen because we do not pray enough for God's help before we need it? Before we need it. So often our prayers are in this regard are way too late. Way too late. It's like praying for temptation as I'm willingly walking into a situation where I should not be. It's like asking for help to get through something instead of saying, don't even get me there. Don't even allow me to go there. I want you to think about it. We spend so much of our time in prayer asking for forgiveness. Am I right in that? So much of your prayers, so many of my prayers are simply asking for forgiveness, talking about stuff that's already happened. Now, I need that. Why? Because I still have sin problems. And so I need to ask for forgiveness. If I don't ask for forgiveness, we've already learned that. We ask for forgiveness and ask to be forgiving. This is a part of our mentality, a part of our prayer life. But we spend so much time in prayer asking for forgiveness. Don't you think it would be better? Has it ever occurred to you, and it hasn't occurred to me just until lately, that if I spend more time praying for God's leadership and deliverance before I fall, that I will not be praying as much about forgiveness as I normally do. Father, help me not even to fall to that. Father, I don't need that in my eyes. I don't need to see that. I don't need to go there. I don't need to be around that. I don't need to smell that. I don't need to eat that. Just whatever it is in this situation, Father, don't lead me there. Lead me away. Deliver me. Ask for forgiveness. But spend more time, or as much time, before the fact. Father, help me not even to fall for that. Help me to change. Help me to find a job that doesn't tempt me. Father, if this person tempts me, remove me from the situation. Whatever it is, that needs to be in our prayers more than it does. Pray for forgiveness. But pray before the fact, God, lead me away from temptation and deliver me. Deliver means saved, right? Save me from the situations that I find myself in an evil world. Those need to be our prayers. So the fact is, if we are ever going to overcome temptation, God's help is the only way. His leadership is the only way we're going to survive the temptations and the evil world that we live in. So then what does lead us not into temptation mean? I mean, why would God ever do that in the first place? In the original language, the common word that Jesus used for temptation could either refer to temptation or test. And Luke 4 is one of those that shows that. Because it was putting God to the test. You can't do that. And Jesus was tempted. It's used both ways. So it is a test by God, but it is a temptation when the devil uses it. A test or a temptation. The word means test, tempt, entice, or for us, undergo discipline. Undergo discipline. So God has a goal here, folks. God's goal is to cause us to grow and to cause us to thrive and to cause us to be spiritually stronger. And He knows the best way to do that is to allow us to use our faith and use our strength and wield our sword and stand behind the shield and put our gospel shoes on and put the belt around our waist and be ready for battle, and then to pray in every situation as the Ephesian letter teaches us. God allows that to help us, to build us up, to save our souls. Satan, on the other hand, so God tests us. Satan, on the other hand, is the tempter. That's what he's called. That's what he does. Satan has a different goal. It is not to help us to grow, not to help us thrive, and most definitely not to help us be saved. It's the exact opposite. His goal is to tempt us to sin and be eternally, spiritually lost. And the same word can go either way. Which way is it going to go? For you, which way is it going to go? We need to be clear on some things. Be clear on how God does this. Number one, God does not tempt us to sin. God does not do that. The brother of Jesus, James, wrote, when you are being tempted, do not say, God is tempting me. God is never tempted to do wrong, and He never tempts anyone else. James 1:13. It's not God's doing. What God does is He leads us out. He leads us away. He delivers us. Paul wrote to the Corinthian church the truth about the matter. 1 Corinthians 10:13. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience, and God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, He will show you a way out so you can endure. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Satan and God work in completely different ways. One to bless and help, one to destroy and to condemn. That's who we pray to. Our Father who helps us and delivers us from all of this. So how does this translate then into your prayer life? How does this work? The practical thing now. What's the first one? Jesus wants His disciples to pray for God's help and direction before they fall. Pray all the time in a preemptive prayer. Father, help me. Lead me away. Deliver me before I fall. Get me away from this. Help me, Father. He wants His disciples to pray for God's help and His direction before we fall, and also then for His grace and mercy and forgiveness if we do fall. So it's not just one or the other. It is that first one and the other if we fall. The second thing is this. Jesus said it. You heard it read by Guy. Matthew 26:41, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, the body is weak. That last part there, that's the reality of what we deal with. In our little hearts and in our spirits, we just want to be as strong and never fail and never walk away and never hurt God or never sin or do something bad. We don't want to. We're not willing to do that. We hate it when we do. But the thing is, in this weak body, it's a reality of our life. Embrace that, and you'll be better equipped to deal with the reality of the evil that's in this world. But what do? We watch and we pray. That's Jesus. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. Be wise. Keep your eyes open. Don't be a sucker. Don't let things sneak up on you. Don't get blindsided. Stay up. Even if you're, you're just weary of watching out for this. Watch and pray. Don't fall asleep in any of that. Now, for the last one, I want you simply to stand, please. Let's all stand. Our daily prayer to God should be for Him to lead us away from temptation and the evil one. You know that Jesus is not the first one to do that or think that that is a good thing to do. A man who is said to have the heart of God, who lived for the heart of God. He ran after the heart of God. King David, a man so sinful, so messed up, so always falling to the sin and the folly of this world. He would ask God to lead him to better places. Now, can you think of anything that David wrote where he asked God to lead him to better places than the places where he was walking and where he was living? Now, you know this. We're going to say it together. You'll see it on the screen. Let's say this together. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Is that where you want to end up? Then you know what to pray, and you know how to live away from temptation and away from evil. So if you have any need today, if you're tempted, tried, hurt, beat up, and suffering, can we help you? Can we pray for you? If you have overcome and you want us to know that you've overcome, or if you need Jesus in your life now and you have never been immersed for the forgiveness of your sins, today is your day. Today is the time. So we offer you an invitation to avail yourself of all of that as we sing this song.